Imagine this. It's late at night and the glow of your phone lights up your face. Another sale, another limited time offer. Your finger hovers for a second and then clicks buy now. Days later, a brown Amazon box arrives at your door, that tiny hit of dopamine rushing through your veins. For a moment you feel satisfied, but it fades faster every time. We live surrounded by abundance, yet starved for peace. We work endlessly to build our own golden cages, polished and comfortable, yet silently suffocating. And here's the truth the ancient Stoics already knew. Comfort can imprison us just as surely as chains. Every new possession demands our time, our attention, our care. What we own begins to own us. The philosopher Epictetus, who once lived as a slave, understood the paradox of possession better than anyone. Epictetus taught, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. In that single line lies a radical antidote to the disease of modern excess. The Stoics weren't poor, they were powerful. Their simplicity was not about deprivation, but liberation. They believed that freedom comes not from adding, but from subtracting, not from acquiring, but from mastering desire. According to Marcus Aurelius, even as an emperor surrounded by luxury, peace could only be found within. Marcus Aurelius reflected, very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. That's the essence of Stoic simplicity, reclaiming your peace from the noise of modern life. The message is more urgent now than ever. In an age of consumerism, subscription overload and digital addiction, the Stoic call for voluntary simplicity is a rebellion, a quiet, powerful refusal to be owned by what you own. Welcome to the Stoic Lighthouse. Let the light of ancient wisdom guide you toward peace and strength. If you believe this message can illuminate your own path, like, subscribe to our channel, and stay with us as we rediscover the freedom of needing less and being more. Number 1, the wealth of self-sufficiency, the Stoic art of simple living. In modern America, success has been redefined as accumulation. More income, more upgrades, more everything. We celebrate those who rise, who buy, who expand, yet we rarely stop to ask, expand into what? The bigger our homes become, the smaller our peace tends to feel. We've mistaken more for better and comfort for freedom. But the Stoics flipped this entire equation upside down. They believed that the richest person is not the one who owns the most, but the one who needs the least. The Stoic idea of autarkia, or self-sufficiency, wasn't a rejection of wealth. It was mastery over dependency. True wealth, they argued, is internal. It's the quiet strength of a person who can lose everything external and still remain whole. According to Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, happiness doesn't depend on fortune, but on virtue. To him, virtue was the only true good: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, while everything else, from money to status, was merely indifferent. Zeno taught, the goal of life is to live in agreement with nature, and to live in harmony with nature meant understanding what is within our control and what is not. Our desires, our impulses, our endless chase for comfort, those are within. Everything else is noise. Centuries later, Chrysippus, the great logician of the Stoic school, took this further. Chrysippus taught, virtue alone is sufficient for happiness. External goods contribute nothing to it. This single idea rewires everything our culture teaches us about success. The Stoics didn't see simplicity as poverty. They saw it as power. When you free yourself from the need for constant consumption, you reclaim your most valuable asset: independence. Modern minimalists like Joshua Becker echo this same timeless truth. Joshua Becker reminds us, minimalism isn't about having less, it's about making room for more of what matters. In a society obsessed with owning, the Stoic pursuit of simplicity becomes revolutionary. It invites us to measure wealth not by possessions, but by peace. It asks, if everything external vanished tomorrow, would you still have yourself? Self-sufficiency is not isolation. It's not detachment from life. It's engagement without dependency. It's knowing that your worth is unshakable because it's rooted in character, not in clutter. The Stoics weren't against beauty or comfort. They were against enslavement to it. They chose to own things without letting things own them. So the question stands, are you building a life of freedom or a house made of golden bars? True simplicity isn't about subtraction for its own sake. It's about removing the noise so you can hear your soul again. Number 2, breaking the chains. More possessions, less freedom. We live in a time when owning things has become a symbol of success. Bigger homes, newer phones, faster cars, all marketed as gateways to freedom. But the more we collect, the less free we feel. Every new possession quietly demands something from us. Time to earn it, effort to maintain it, anxiety to protect it. The Stoics saw this centuries ago. They understood that our attachment to things was not a sign of progress, but of imprisonment. Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in Rome, warned against this illusion of abundance. He understood that luxury can be just as heavy as chains made of iron. Seneca reminded us, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. Each desire we surrender to, each unnecessary possession we chase, pulls us further from freedom. We trade hours of our lives for objects that lose meaning the moment we own them. The Stoic diagnosis is simple. When you need less, you live more. The modern world has perfected the art of anxiety through possessions. Every valuable thing we buy becomes a source of potential loss. The new car that might get scratched, the new phone that might break, the home that needs constant care, every comfort becomes a concern. In protecting what we own, we become guards of our own prison. Socrates, centuries before the Stoics, walked through the markets of Athens and marveled at the endless displays of wealth. He wasn't tempted, he was liberated. Socrates once said, "How many things there are that I do not need?" That sentence could be a Stoic mantra for the modern age. The less you need, the lighter your soul becomes. When you stop chasing every advertisement's promise of happiness, you stop being a customer and start being a citizen of your own mind. Even today, modern thinkers continue to echo this Stoic truth. The Minimalists, Joshua Fields Milburn and Ryan Nicodemus, built their philosophy around this insight. As the Minimalists put it, we're not against owning things. We're against things owning us. We think consumption fills a void, but it only deepens it. Each purchase adds a new layer of noise between us and our peace. The Stoic path invites us to step back, to look around at everything we've gathered and ask a simple question. Does this serve my soul or drain it? Freedom doesn't come from adding more. It comes from learning to subtract. The moment we stop identifying ourselves through what we own, we reclaim the right to breathe, to think, to simply be. Seneca once wrote that wealth can be a good servant, but a terrible master. The Stoic life is about reversing that relationship, to rule over your possessions instead of being ruled by them. Because in the end, the heaviest chains are not the ones we wear, but the ones we worship. Number 3, the forge of resilience. How having less makes you stronger. Comfort is the silent killer of strength. It dulls our instincts, weakens our will, and erodes our ability to face life as it truly is. Unpredictable, unfair, and often unforgiving. Modern culture teaches us to chase ease, to design lives where friction is the enemy. But to the Stoics, the opposite was true. Discomfort was not something to fear, it was something to train with. It was the forge where character was made. Seneca understood this better than most. Despite his immense wealth and political influence, he routinely practiced what he called voluntary discomfort. He would wear simple clothes, eat the bare minimum, and sleep on the ground, not to punish himself, but to remember how little he truly needed to live well. Seneca advised, It is precisely in times of security that the soul should prepare itself for adversity. He was inoculating his mind against fear. Because when misfortune eventually strikes, as it always does, the person who has rehearsed hardship stands unshaken. To the Stoic, strength is not the absence of pain, it's the mastery of response. Musonius Rufus, often called the Roman Socrates, taught this lesson through experience. Exiled multiple times from Rome, stripped of wealth and comfort, he saw every hardship as training for the soul. Musonius Rufus taught, if you wish to strengthen your soul, you must first train your body through effort. A body softened by luxury resists the commands of the mind. Modern voices echo this timeless wisdom. David Goggins, a former Navy SEAL who embodies Stoic resilience in the modern age, speaks of deliberately seeking hardship as the key to mental toughness. David Goggins reminds us, you have to do things you hate to callous your mind. The Stoic didn't seek pain, he sought power through preparation. By choosing discomfort voluntarily, he broke the illusion of dependence on external comfort. He discovered that a human being could thrive, not despite difficulty, but because of it. When you deliberately strip away what's unnecessary, when you fast, take cold showers, or endure physical challenges, you're not punishing yourself. You're proving to yourself that comfort is optional and peace is internal. In a world that sells ease as happiness, the Stoic trains to become unbreakable. He knows that the storms of fate are inevitable, but fragility is optional. Every act of voluntary simplicity, every moment of discomfort embraced, is a form of strength training for the soul. Because resilience isn't built when life is easy, it's built when you choose to stay calm while everything else trembles. Number 4, reclaiming your mind. More focus, less noise. We are drowning in noise. Every notification, every ad, every screen competes for a slice of our attention. The modern mind has become a battlefield, overwhelmed by endless alerts and invisible demands. The average American checks their phone hundreds of times a day, not because they want to, but because they've forgotten how not to. We think we own our attention, but in truth, we've rented it out to whoever shouts the loudest. The Stoics would have seen this as the greatest danger of our age. Not poverty, not hardship, but distraction. They believed the mind was our most sacred space, a fortress that must be guarded at all costs. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled over an empire yet fought daily for inner stillness, wrote a warning that feels written for our century. Marcus Aurelius reflected, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Every thought we entertain, every impulse we obey, either strengthens or weakens that power. The Stoic mind is trained through intentional focus, learning to choose what deserves your attention and what doesn't. Chrysippus, the great systematizer of Stoicism, taught that philosophy was not just a theory of ethics, but a discipline of logic, a way to purify the mind from false impressions. Chrysippus believed we are not disturbed by things themselves, but by the opinions we form about them. In the modern world, those opinions come not just from within us, but from algorithms designed to hijack our emotions. Every scroll, every like, every comparison slowly fragments our peace. To live simply today is to resist that pull, to declutter not just your home, but your head. Cal Newport, author of Digital Minimalism, translates this ancient insight into modern language. Cal Newport teaches, digital minimalism is about using technology intentionally so that it supports your values instead of stealing them. That's Stoicism for the digital age. It's the art of reclaiming your mind from the noise of modern life. One notification, one choice, one pause at a time. When you say no to distraction, you're saying yes to presence, depth, and freedom. The Stoic practice of simplicity was never about rejecting the world. It was about mastering it. By closing unnecessary mental tabs, you restore focus. By choosing silence, you create clarity. By turning inward, you rediscover the power that was always yours, the ability to rule your mind, and in doing so, rule your life. Because a quiet mind is not an empty one. It's a mind that has finally remembered what truly matters. Number 5, the Stoic Minimalist's Handbook. 3 practical steps to start today. Philosophy means nothing if it stays in books. The Stoics were not armchair thinkers. They were warriors of daily practice. To them, wisdom was measured not by how much you knew, but by how much you lived. The art of simplicity is no exception. Voluntary simplicity is not an aesthetic, it's a discipline. It's not about empty rooms, it's about a full mind. The Stoic path invites us to simplify, not to escape life, but to engage with it more deeply. So how do we begin? The ancient masters left us a manual, 3 practices that can start transforming your relationship with desire, possessions, and peace today. Step 1, audit your desires. Before you declutter your home, declutter your mind. Spend 1 week buying nothing unnecessary. Watch your impulses arise, the I need this moments. Don't fight them, observe them. Ask, why do I want this? Who planted this desire in me? The Stoics believed the battle for freedom begins in the mind. Epictetus warned, do not let the force of your first impressions carry you away. Say instead, wait for me a little impression. Let me see who you are and where you come from. When you pause before reacting to every desire, you weaken its power. You stop being a consumer of products and become a curator of thoughts. This is the first step to true autonomy, mastering your wants before they master you. Step 2, practice the exercise of loss. Imagine your most prized possession, your car, your phone, your home, suddenly gone. Most people recoil at the thought, but the Stoic faces it calmly. This is premeditatio malorum, the meditation on potential loss. It doesn't make you careless, it makes you fearless. Seneca urged, periodically contemplate the loss of everything you own. Tell yourself, I can still be happy without it. This will not make you careless, but courageous. Each time you imagine loss, you dissolve fear. You train your soul to understand that happiness is not built on what you have, but on who you are. The exercise turns fear into gratitude, because when you realize you can live without something, you finally appreciate it for what it truly is, temporary. Step 3, subtract with intention. Now take action. Look around your space and put every object on trial. Ask, does this serve a purpose? Does it strengthen my character, or does it distract and drain me? The Stoics viewed the physical environment as an extension of the soul. By simplifying your surroundings, you train your mind toward order. Modern philosopher James Clear echoes this truth in his work Atomic Habits. James Clear wrote, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Your environment shapes your behavior. Design an environment that makes virtue the path of least resistance. Every object you remove is not a loss, it's a liberation. The Stoic minimalist doesn't chase an empty home, he builds a meaningful one. A life where every item, every habit, every thought has purpose. Simplicity is not deprivation, it's direction. Each deliberate subtraction brings you closer to clarity, focus, and peace. The kind that can't be bought, borrowed, or broken. Because the goal is not to own less. It's to be more. Number 6, true wealth, redefining success. What does it mean to be rich? In America, we're told it means never having to worry again. The big house, the dream car, the financial freedom to buy anything at any time. But the Stoics saw this vision of wealth for what it really is, another form of dependence, wrapped in luxury. They believed that true wealth begins where desire ends. To the Stoic mind, success was never about accumulation. It was about autonomy, the power to live well without needing more. Epictetus, who was born a slave and yet became one of the freest men who ever lived, revealed this paradox long ago. Epictetus taught, "It is not the man who has little, but the man who desires little who is truly rich." The more you desire, the poorer you become, because every desire is a chain that ties your happiness to something outside your control. The Stoics weren't trying to reject the material world, they were trying to rise above it. They wanted to enjoy what they had without being enslaved by it. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. Surrounded by power and gold, he recognized that none of it could bring peace. Marcus Aurelius reflected, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." Modern society teaches us to climb higher, buy bigger, upgrade endlessly. But the Stoic sees the highest form of wealth as independence from all of that. A life where peace of mind doesn't fluctuate with the stock market and joy doesn't vanish when the Wi-Fi goes down. This same philosophy echoes in the teachings of Taoist master Lao Tzu, whose words complement Stoic thought perfectly. Lao Tzu wrote, "He who knows that enough is enough will always have enough." Both Stoicism and Taoism converge on the same truth. Abundance is not a number, it's a mindset. It's the art of knowing when to stop. In today's world, this idea finds new expression through minimalists like Joshua Fields Millburn, who reminds us that happiness isn't hiding in our next purchase. Joshua Fields Millburn said, "Minimalism is not about having less, it's about making room for more of what matters." That's what the Stoics meant all along. Simplicity is not about poverty, it's about priority. It's about choosing depth over excess, presence over distraction, and peace over possession. When you no longer measure your life by what you own, but by what you can live without, you achieve a kind of wealth no market can crash and no thief can steal. It's the wealth of character, virtue, and freedom, the currency of a tranquil soul. Because in the end, real success isn't about what you've built around you. It's about what you've built within you. Michelangelo once said that when he sculpted his masterpiece, he didn't create the statue. He simply removed everything that wasn't David. Inside every block of stone, he believed, there was already a perfect form waiting to be revealed. That's exactly what the Stoics were teaching us all along. Inside each of us, beneath layers of distraction, fear, and excess, there is a stronger, freer, calmer self, already there, waiting to be uncovered. The work of life isn't to add more marble, it's to carve away what doesn't belong. Every desire you let go of, every possession you release, every unnecessary thought you silence is a stroke of the chisel, freeing the angel within. Epictetus reminded us that freedom is not about control over the world, but mastery over oneself. Epictetus taught, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." And Seneca, centuries ago, revealed the same timeless truth in his own way. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Life is long if you know how to use it." Simplicity, then, is not a rejection of life. It's a celebration of it. It's choosing depth over clutter, awareness over impulse, peace over noise. To live simply is to live awake. To live stoically is to live free. Now I want to hear from you. Tell us in the comments, what's the first non-essential you're ready to subtract from your life after watching this video? And what do you hope to gain in return? More time, more clarity, more peace. Your reflection may help someone else begin their own journey toward freedom. If this message brought light to your path, help that light reach others. Give this video a like, share it with someone who's drowning in the noise of more, and subscribe to the Stoic Lighthouse, where ancient wisdom continues to guide modern souls toward peace and strength. And in our next video, we'll explore a Stoic truth that might just change how you see the world forever. Why you don't need to have an opinion on everything, and how that single realization can restore your calm, your focus, and your freedom in a world that never stops shouting. Until then, remember this: True simplicity is not about owning less, it's about needing less, and in doing so, discovering that you already have everything. See you in the next video.